Hi, I'm Brent Johnson, and I'm in Bryn Athyn, Pennsylvania today, here at the Bryn Athyn Cathedral, which is the cathedral of the General Church of the New Jerusalem. I'm here with Charles Kegg. He's the president of Kegg Organ Company, and you're responsible for this lovely instrument here in the cathedral, right?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, tell me all about this organ. I've heard a little bit of it. It's a wonderful sounding instrument, and I want to know about how it got in here.
Well, the instrument is a collection of two Skinner organs. Forgive me if I look this up to make sure I get it right. Opus 574 and 682. These were two modest three-manual instruments that were procured, and we brought them together as one instrument. Being two smaller instruments of similar time period, they were remarkably complementary to each other. For example, that each of the two small choir divisions, one had a clarinet and the other had an English horn. You would have expected a clarinet in both of them. But these two organs melded together very, very well with only a few extraneous ranks which found their way up into the ceiling of the echo.
Okay.
Around these two instruments, we added new stops to fill out the specification in E.M. Skinner style, such as the walled horn, 16 in the Swell, the tuba in the choir, which goes to 16 in the pedal, the French horn in the great, a French trumpet in the great that is an extension of the Swell division. The organ is interesting. It's got one of the first examples of the Willis-style mixture in the Swell. The only mixture in the organ is in the Swell. It's 5 ranks. It's much more aggressive than you think it's going to be, but we didn't make it that way. That's the way Mr. Skinner left it, and he was inspired by his examples that he saw in England by Willis.
Okay.
And Willis provided him with the scaling and the voicing instructions. Very interesting piece of history.
All right.
The French horn on this organ came from another Skinner instrument in Milwaukee that we procured to add to the organ. So it is an original Skinner stop restored and added into, not native to the two instruments. And then up in the ceiling, there is an unusual division of this organ called the celestial, and that fits into the theology of the new church here, the General Church of the New Jerusalem. And it is up in the tower of the church and speaks down through a tone chute into the church through the tower. And up here we have the strongest and the lightest voices of the organ. There's a large tuba mirabilis on 20 inches of wind that's done in the Willis style, 2 E.M. Skinner style solo strings, and a large solo flute, which also shows another example of something that we've never done anywhere else, but I hope to do again soon, which is a second touch tremolo on the 4th manual, primarily for the big solo flute. But these are some of the interesting things that this organ has that few others around have.
It's a unique instrument. I mean, it's essentially a Skinner, with lots of Skinner pipe work, and I like that you've left the Skinner name tag but also included your own, because it is definitely a Kegg organ in the end with all of the new additions in the configuration.
But carefully respecting the Skinner tonality and doing our level best to make things fit in just the way they would have within Skinner's day. For example, the 16-foot violone unit that's on the grate was scaled and patterned after a similar stop that is in Youngstown, Ohio at the Stambaugh Auditorium. So we picked examples to copy.
See. Well, the instrument normally is over on the side. We've brought it out here to the middle of the church, and we are directly underneath that celestial division, and then the rest of the organ is up here in the nave. So Luke Staisiunas is here, and he's going to help you demonstrate this organ to our viewers, and I'm going to stand back and watch and enjoy this.
I hope that your viewers can come and visit someday, because this is a very unusual building, built stone on stone, no steel, in medieval style. It is quite an amazing piece of architecture to visit.
I agree.
Well, we're going to walk you through the stops of the organ that are particularly unique to this instrument. For those of you who are Skinner files, this organ has many, if not all, of the standard Skinner goodies. And the one that's almost always my favorite is the softest on the organ, which is the flauto dolce and flute celeste. And of course, the Swell has a set of standard solitional and celeste that you would expect. We have an 8-foot diapason. Added a 4-foot octave to that. and the Willis 5-rank 2-foot mixture. The Swell division has a fine collection of reeds, starting with an 8-foot cornopian. That was a 16-foot walled horn added to the cornopian. That was a new stop. It goes to full length to 16-foot C. It's also available in the pedal. There's also a lovely flugelhorn, which you find on every Skinner instrument of this time period. And a vox humana. The Great Division goes up through 2 foot, including a 12th, and we start with the 8-foot second open. And before we go to the octave, we'll contrast that with the first open, which is unenclosed and noticeably larger. The great division of this organ is enclosed, as is almost the entirety of the instrument. The second open diapason is inside the box, and now with its 4-foot octave, and a 2-foot. Large Skinner organs of this time period would have a Swell division reed chorus that would include 16, 8, and 4-foot reeds in the cornopian dark style, along with a 8-foot French trumpet right in the middle of all of that that would be brighter. I wanted to do that here, but there was no room in the Swell division for that, so the bright French trumpet made it onto the Great division, and that sounds this way. And we contrast that with the Swell cornopian. One of the things you can do on this organ, if you're playing more classical registrations, is turn the divisions backwards. Nathan Laube discovered this, and I thought it was brilliant, that the Great can become the Swell when you need a brighter Swell chorus with that brighter reed, and the Swell with the mixture can become your chorus Great. And that's a neat little trick to play in instruments of this time period. The choir division has the normal fare that you would expect to find, with a pair of soft strings, Dulciana undularis, an 8-foot concert flute, an 8-foot diapason, the concert flute gets a 4-foot flute d'amore and a 2-foot piccolo to go with it. And it enjoys 2 reeds, the typical clarinet and an English horn. Also in the choir division is a small Skinner tuba. We call it the small tuba. It's really not that small. It's on 10 inches of wind, but this is the more lyrical style of Skinner tuba that you would find in the mid to late 20s on a smaller instrument. And it's a very pretty stop. This stop goes to 16 foot and becomes the pedal 16-foot primary reed. On the Great, I neglected to mention, it enjoys a French horn. This is a genuine Skinner French horn stop that we acquired and incorporated into the organ. all you technophiles out there, it is on 10 inches of wind. Now, the unusual division of the organ is the celestial, which is up in the tower of the main tower of the building and speaks down through the lantern. And here we have a few of the stops that we could not incorporate into the main organ from the two organs we put together, including a pair of quiet strings, an 8-foot gedeckt, and a 4-foot flute to go with the gedeckt. But this organ also grew 4 new stops, all on high pressure. There is a pair of large gambas, gross gambas with a reverse taper in the E.M. Skinner style, also on 10 inches of wind. A 4-foot flauto mirabilis, which is a large harmonic flute. And as Luke is showing you, another unusual feature of this division is the second touch tremolo, so that you can bring the tremolo off and on very intuitively in an orchestral style, so the running notes have no trem, but the held notes can have a trem added easily. And then the grand climax of the instrument is a tuba mirabilis on 20 inches of wind, built in the Willis style, hooded. And perhaps the most unusual stop in the entire instrument is a set of Deegan tower chimes inside the building. The Deegan Company made tower chimes for exterior use, and these are very large tubular bells designed to be heard outside in a church tower. But these are inside, and for those of you who know me well, this was not my idea, but I was happy to execute it. There you have it.
So to get up into the organ, we have a tower staircase here, this circular staircase that takes us up to the level of the chambers.
Okay, going up to the first division here is it's the great division, and it's a little bit of a tight squeeze getting in. Watch your head. This is the great with the new French trumpet, 4-foot octave, 2-foot, 8-foot second open, 8-foot flute, 4-foot flute, and the French horn. The 16 and 8 foot violone and the first open are on the other side of the shades. The violone forms part of the facade. And there you can see the smaller pipes of the violone and the first open there through the shades.
We're back outside the chamber, and this is the ladder next to the great door. Charlie there is walking up to the opening of the choir chamber, which is immediately above the grate.
Well, here we are in the choir division. This division is up high in the chamber, and you'll notice that this has horizontal shades. These are new Skinner-style shades that throw the sound down. And from front to back, we have the dulciana, the concert flute, the 2-foot piccolo, the English horn, the undamaris, the 8-foot diapason, the 4-foot flute, stop flute, clarinet, and then this is the choir tuba. And you'll notice that the 16-foot section and at least part of the 8-foot are made in Haskell-based pipes. These pipes are similar in style to what Mr. Haskell would have done for the Este Company, but they're done in a Skinner scale. Now the speakers that you see are all for the Allen. They ain't my fault.
Now here we're under the great chamber, and indeed there are speakers down here are attached to an Allen organ that's in the rear gallery, but we're having to crawl underneath to get all the way over to the Swell chamber, which is on the other side.
Well, here we are in the Swell division, and this is the Swell division almost unaltered from number 574. It has had a 4-foot octave added to it, E.M. Skinner pipes from the other instrument, and then the very first stop is the 16-foot walled horn on a new chest, also done in E.M. Skinner style. But from front to back, we have 4-foot octave, 8-foot diapason, flauto dolce, 4-foot triangular flute, 8-foot gedeckt, 8-foot cornopian, 8-foot flugelhorn, flute celeste, vox celeste, 8-foot gedeckt, and solitional. And then above here, on the flying chest, is the Willis 2-foot mixture and the Vox Humana. And again, this flying chest was in this position in the original installation, running perpendicular to the rest of the division.
The ladder up into the Swell chamber continues on up through the roof of the chamber, up to where there are pedal pipes and the harp.
So here we are on top of the Swell division, and we have the pedal around here. We have 2 stops in the pedal, an open wood diapason, 16 30-foot 2-foot Borden, and the smaller pipes are here as you see them. And then back here against the back wall are the big boys, 32-foot Borden, which was built new, and 16-foot open wood in front, which is original. Also was added to the organ, never had one, this is an Aeolian 61-note harp. And there's a set of chimes. And why, you ask, does that ladder go up there? That's on top of the choir division. It's the highest one in the organ where we visited already. But that's so you can reach down and service the facade pipes and get to tune them.
We went down and back under the grate, and we go back out to the tower staircase, where we proceed to go up lots of stairs. We're following Nick there as he goes up in front of us. There are lots of little walkways and windows along this very tall staircase. And once we get up here to the top, we have a view out onto the roof of the cathedral. We've also kind of been joined by a crowd at the chamber here for the ethereal division.
So there are the tower chimes with standard Deegan strikers. This is the only electric chest in the organ. It has the 2 strings, the flute, and the vox. And yes, the 8 and 4-foot flute on the Celestial are the same rank. And then the Willis tuba on 20, and the 2 strings, and the harmonic flute you'll notice is on a raised rack board. That's where the clear flute was. And it was on 20 inches also. And I re-winded it with the strings when we put the 4-foot flute in. The HVAC system here in the Celestial is unusual because it's up in the attic and in a very hot location, and it's always hot up here no matter what the temperature is outside. To keep it in tune with the main organ, the HVAC system has a special controller that tracks the temperature down in the main organ. It does not match the temperature, but it tracks it. So if the temperature goes up or down on the main organ, it will raise the temperature in this division proportionally up or down to keep it in tune. That's the inside unit, and the controller's here. And the whole system shuts off when the organ is in use.
Before we continue, I wanted to take a second to recognize Dylan David Shaw, who is playing the Dvorak there for us. We did not get a chance to introduce him. And also that Kegg Pipe Organ Builders is a member of APOBA, the Associated Pipe Organ Builders of America. APOBA member firms uphold the highest standards of integrity, quality, and craftsmanship in pipe organ building. For more information about APOBA and its member firms, and for lots of information for those who might be seeking to purchase a new pipe organ, need organ service, or have an existing pipe organ that you'd like to upgrade or repair, there's tons of information at apoba.com. Okay, now back to Bryn Athyn, and here's Luke Staisiunas again.
Charlie, thank you so much for leading us through the tour of this wonderful organ. What year was this installed in the church? We didn't ever say.
2014.
2014, so a relatively new instrument here. It sounds wonderful. Luke and Dylan did a fantastic job of demonstrating it, and it's a wonderful tribute to E.M. Skinner with your name on it, so it's something to be very proud of. Thank you for
indeed. Thank you.
I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please give us a thumbs up, and remember to subscribe and click the bell for notifications so you'll be notified when new videos come out. We still have more videos coming, so stay tuned. Until then, you can always get streaming classical organ music on our 3 stations, organlive.com, Positively Baroque, and The Organ Experience. If you'd like to help us make more videos, you can do that by becoming a sponsor of the Organ Media Foundation. Just go to organ.media and click on support. Thank you for watching. I'm Brent Johnson. I'll see you next time.